Hi, this is Kate Magic, and you're listening to the Raw Living podcast. Raw Living is Europe's leading raw foods and superfood supplier, and I founded the company back in 2002. In this interview series, I'm talking to some of the people behind the brands that we offer on our shop to find out what exactly is the ethos behind the company. Not just the ingredients that they use and the processes that they use to create the end results, but I'm asking them other questions like how do they show respect for the environment, how do they treat their workers, and their relationship to the farmers who grow the crops. All the companies that we work with are putting huge amounts of dedication and commitment into creating products that are benefiting not just you, but also the whole ecosystem, the planet, the people. And with this series, I'm hoping to show insights into that. When you're shopping with these companies, you're really not just investing in your health, you're truly investing in a better world for us all. My guest today is Juan from Pacari, the Ecuadorian cacao company, telling us about their really excellent cacao products and how they produce them. Hi Juan, how are you today?
Very well, and you, Kate?
Yeah, I'm really excited to speak with you. I'm really so passionate about cacao and always learning all the time. So I'm really loving the Pacari cacao, and I know you really take so much great care and lengths to producing some of the highest quality cacao in the world right now, I would say. So I'm really interested to learn more about, how you do that. And maybe let's just start with how long the company's been going and how it all started.
Well, the company it's already it's going to be 21 years this year, starting in 2002. And although I'm not the founder, I represent the brand here in the United Kingdom. And Carla and Santiago, a Ecuadorian couple, started this company in Ecuador in 2002. And the idea came because they were traveling, tasting chocolates, and in the packagings they were reading Ecuador, and then they found out that none of those chocolates were made in Ecuador at all. And farmers were not getting what they should get, and the industries were all abroad. And still that's the case for the majority of our chocolates in the United Kingdom and in the developed world, where over 90% of them are made in non-cacao growing nations. So they wanted to change that. And that's how it all started.
So at the heart of it is this idea of making sure that the farmers are really well treated, right? And it's a whole fair trade enterprise.
It is that and beyond, because not only the farmers, but creating the know-how, the industries locally, so that you can distribute more wealth of the final chocolate in the country of origin, and finish with that kind of post-colonial trading model where producing countries export the raw materials, and then the added value is somewhere else. And then you start this concept, Italian coffee, and Italy doesn't grow coffee plants, and Swiss chocolate, Belgian chocolate, and the cacao doesn't grow there. So how you start breaking that and showing. And the other factor as well, apart from the one you mentioned, is to say in Ecuador is where cacao trees started, part of Peru, part of Colombia. That's where the cacao tree started its origins. And in what today is that part of the world, over 70% of the finest cacao trees grow. So Ecuador has around that 67% of fine cacao trees. And it was not used properly, and only few companies were doing that, and they said, well, we want to bring that to more masses, to more people, and show that we have great cacao that requires loads of care and work, and that we have fantastic people behind that, small farmers who grow them in a biodiverse environment, protecting our rainforests, etc. And we want to create opportunities here in Ecuador and do the best chocolate for the world, not the best chocolate in the world.
So this is something that's pretty unique about it as well, right? Is that you're producing the products where the cacao grows.
Exactly. It's very unique. And I have looked into figures here in the United Kingdom, and it's less than 1.5% of all chocolate brands that we have available are brands that produce chocolate in the cacao growing nation.
Right.
So it's quite unique, as you said.
Yeah, yeah.
And Pacari, 21 years ago, started that kind of smaller revolution in Latin America and other places. Now we have more companies doing that, micro batch companies and small companies, etc., doing that.
And let's talk a bit about the cacao, because you make roasted products and the raw products. Can you talk us through just summarize your raw production process and what you notice are like the things that really make it stand out as being superior?
What it makes, I think, a big difference in terms of it's the quality of the cacao itself. That's the first important thing. A fine flavor cacao, like the Arriba Nacional we use from Ecuador, it's already a fantastic product. And if we then, through the whole process from the harvesting, then the fermentation and the drying, etc., all those processes that require care from the farmers in situ are taken properly, then we continue with that quality through the whole chain. And then in the factories, we have hand selection of the cacao beans that are brought from the organizations and farmers. And then, as you said, we have the two process for the chocolates, the one that the industry call raw, in some places they call it unroasted, because technically that is the difference. It's not like a raw carrot and a cooked carrot, Right. We still have in the fermentation a process that generates temperature, So the cacao is not completely raw as we will get it. The only way will be to take it out from the tree, open the cacao pot, and get it, But then the very minimal temperatures that are used and the care in the whole process is that brings this quality chocolate that in the last 12 years have won over 400 medals in the International Chocolate Awards.
Right.
Consistently, every year they get medals, either first in the regional competition from the whole American continent and then in the world finals. It's the most awarded dark chocolate in the planet.
Wow.
So that is amazing, and the connection with the farmers is essential, and that's why from day one of the key things was to do direct trade with the farmers and see what is needed, what sort of capacitations are needed, support that needed in order of the pre-harvest and harvesting, etc. Agricultural process. As I said earlier, is a kind of agroforestry process because it is within the rainforest. The farmers here are not clearing the forest, to have monoculture plantations of cacao. So everything starts from there.
Mm-hmm. We're finding that it's harder and harder to get good quality, as you say, unroasted cacao, because it takes so much longer, I think, to produce. It takes so much care to produce, and a lot of the farmers are not wanting to do that. Can you just speak to your production methods and the extra steps that you have to put in to ensure the raw product?
Well, I think you mentioned a very important point there, that there's less of that because the care that requires.
Yeah.
We are seeing this in the completely in every industry, and the quality food is disappearing because we are now in a moment where, for the last decades or so, supermarkets and have been driving cheap food as something that is a norm.
Yeah.
And we don't then pay and recognize the hard work that is behind, in this case, a cacao. We need the farmers to be fully embedded in the work from day one, and from looking after those trees in the right way, from then understanding how fermentation is so important for the production of chocolate. Getting it wrong there could affect the whole production later.
Right.
The same with the natural drying. It is a natural drying, but you have to avoid direct sunlight and the formation of mold, etc. So you have to be constant looking after this cacao beans that have been already harvested. And then through the hand selection in the factory, again, looking for the right chocolates. And then, because we have to use lower temperatures in case of they are roasted, we have to take the right time to produce the chocolate that we are looking for. And for that, you also need chocolatiers working in the factory. It's not just an automated thing.
Right.
You need people who understand what they want to produce and what they want to offer to the consumers.
Right.
And there you will see that the other companies that produce more in masses don't get that, or people who don't buy directly their beans and then don't know what they're looking for. They might buy cacao mass, or they, in terms of like couverture, things like that to produce their chocolates, or they might just buy very cheap cacao that hasn't been looked after properly in the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
And we work with farmers. Not all the farmers we work are organically certified, but also we have some that work towards the biodynamic method. So looking at alternatives and looking and recognizing that means that Pacari has to pay far more to farmers as well. And because they're Ecuadorians, they know that the fair trade minimum price, which is higher than in many cases market price, is not enough, and you have to go above.
Right, right. But I think it's the perfect example of how, maybe when we're, being ethical consumers and we're looking for products that are, fair trade and organic and all these things, that's coming from a desire to, do the best for people and the planet. But actually also what you end up with is a product that just tastes better than anything else. So you can just, with your chocolates, you can taste all the love and all the care that's gone into it all the way through the process. And although they are at the higher end of the price point, I personally feel like I need to eat less of them because there's so much more powerful. Like there's so much more of that chocolate hit that comes through. Can you tell us about the end products?
Yeah, you are right about when we care about what we produce, we put love in it. And in the same as a service, as a person, if we a salesperson or anything, we give the best of ourselves. We produce the best possible.
Right.
And with certification, that should happen, but not always happen, because some people will take that only as a ticking box, and just to produce something, and just to have it have some products in the market. And you will notice then the difference between an organic, fair trade, ethically produced chocolate that is produced with that love, with that passion behind, and an industrial production of something that has also a ticking box of having one or two products made with ingredients who are certified that way, but they don't put that love into the business. They don't love the workers, they don't love the farmers, they don't love the environment, they don't love our planet. And when you have other companies who are doing the opposite, when they put the love in it, you can see that difference. And Pacari started to put love into from day one. It's a kind of a love story. And because they love cacao, they also decided we are not going to produce chocolate bars with less than half of that being cacao.
Right.
So 50%, but all our bars are 60% and above.
Right.
Right. So what you said about not wanting to eat more, again, less sugar content. Sugar is one of the elements that makes you want to eat more. You know? But again, the quality of the cacao, as you said, and the richness and the flavors, when you have quality, you don't need quantity. You know? And then the same with a nice glass of wine or good coffee. Or I live in Scotland, a nice single malt whiskey. So you don't need to drink the whole bottle.
Right, right.
So, but with the cacao, it's the same, and you appreciate the flavors, and because they come from different regions. In Ecuador, you can travel around Ecuador with our chocolates by tasting different flavors.
Right.
No? But yet you are completely right. The love and the care will then bring a much higher quality product.
Yeah.
We celebrate those achievements with farmers. For example,
right.
Every time Pacari wins a medal, it goes back to the regions, go to meeting the farmer, because we have to celebrate the love that they put from the beginning as well to all this achievement.
But it's not just the flavor; like the flavors are so rich within it, but it's also, like I'm saying, the power of the cacao.
Oh yeah.
Like I can't eat a whole bar of yours in one go.
No. And for me, the higher content, and for example, sometimes I replace my coffee cup with 100%, because it's so rich and gives me that level of energy. But I don't need much. I need 1 or 2 squares of the bar, and that's it. And one of the products that, because this flavors and all even that energy that comes out from this chocolate is getting quite popular for us, is the cacao paste.
Right.
And cacao paste, as you know, is the most essential and basic product after the grilling of the cacao bean. So it's the first thing we get. So we are selling much more of that. We're not going to ever be just a seller of that product because we use it for our chocolates, but because we have started to also bring it to the consumers, and they love it for their real hot chocolate experience, for making their own creations, and our cacao base had those those elements and consistency and flavors that you were mentioning before, no?
Yeah.
That make it also not needing to consume much.
Yeah. Can you talk us through some of the other products? My favorite is the blueberry bar. That's my number one. And you do one with nibs as well, I think, that I really enjoy. But can you talk us through some of the raw bars that you have?
Yes. And on the raw bars, you mentioned one with blueberry that has a 70% cacao, and the blueberries that Pacari uses are wild blueberries that grow in the Andes, the plateaus, and are gathered by the poorest in the supply chain, by the people without land. And it's a gathering process. They gather these wild blueberries, and then Pacari purchase from them, giving them a much needed regular income and appreciation for their work and helping them to improve their livelihoods. Those organically certified blueberries then go into the chocolate. They're dried first, and they're smaller. And in Ecuador, they're known as mortiño. And this mortiño is the one that goes into this chocolate bar. Similar percentage of similar percentage of cacao. We have another with pink salt. A pink salt from the Andes in neighbor country Peru, in a place called Maras. It's called Sal de Maras. And Maras is a community that is there between Cusco and Machu Picchu. And for hundreds of years, over 700 years, they have been producing this Sal de Maras in the middle of the Andes. And that's sold with pieces of cacao, so cacao nibs, goes together in this chocolate bar. And then we have another raw 85%.
Right.
And then we go up, and this 85%, it's much more fruitier, the cacao being used there. And the majority of the people think is a bit lower than 85. So I think the natural flavors of the cacao who make it taste in some way sweeter than it is deceive a bit the consumers, and they think it's even lower than
I have to say, when I came back from Bali recently, I had really bad jet lag for the first week, and that bar was the only thing that could keep me up in the evenings. Other chocolate didn't do it, only that one.
Oh, good to know. Good to know. We'll have to write that in the reviews.
Good for jet lag.
Good for jet lags. And then we have the 100%. And on the 100%, we have two chocolate bars. One, like you said, with pieces of cacao, with the cacao nibs. So, and this is a newer creation in terms of the life than the other one, which is the plain 100%. So we had the 100%, which, by the way, is our best seller. Is the bar we sell far more than anything else here in the UK.
Wow.
Not in other places. In other countries, there are other bars more popular. But here in the UK, our 100% is the most popular by far. And then the 100 with cacao nibs was created, I will say, less than 7 years ago, maybe. And then we didn't know how to name it. And because it has 1% of nibs and 100% cacao, somebody say, well, we don't call it 101.
Right.
So even the first packaging was saying was 101%.
Right.
Then we changed it because it was a bit confusing, the percentage, So,
right.
But internally we still call it the 101.
Right.
So it's 100% cacao plus 1% of cacao nibs to make it more crunchy, a bit different texture.
Yeah. And we have the curvature as well. Can you just explain to us the difference between that and the paste?
Yeah, well, the paste is raw. It doesn't get any other process. It's not templated, and then you have the couverture who has the second step where it's smoother. Then it's and that's probably the big difference between one product and the other, and then the couvertures and the cacao paste, we only have one thing. You don't add sugars, you don't add anything. Where in the couverture, you could start then developing not only the 100% as we have, but then you could reduce the amount of cacao and start adding the sweetener. No? So we have couvertures of 85%, which means that other 15 is sweetener. We have couverture on 70%, 30% sweetener. And then we have couverture on 60% and sweetener. And the sweetener that we use in the 85 and in one of the 60s is coconut sugar. And in the 70% is unrefined cane sugar.
So if people were going to use the couverture to make their chocolate, they could expect to get an even smoother raw chocolate than if they were using the paste.
The paste, yes, yeah, definitely. But also, for me, cacao paste is the element that brings everything still from the tree. I would say, for me, it's the closest to eating something coming from trees. Right. In the communities, if you go there, many of them, they still have their sacred kind of stone, where they do the cacao ceremony, and you do all the work with the beans first, which is done by the males, but then the grounding, in that ceremony stone is normally done in many of the communities exclusively by women who are in charge, and one woman is in charge of that, and then her daughter, and so the generations go behind and start learning to do that.
So and they do the cacao ceremonies. How often do they do them?
I have seen in different parts, different periodicity, so I wouldn't be able to tell you now if if all of them do it in one time of the year or more, because, for example, recently I was in Costa Rica, and this community did it few times in the year. Depending on the harvest, they have 2 harvests a year, and they do it a few times during those harvests. But I don't know exactly how many times they do it in the Napo Valley or in Zamora Chinchipe, in the different parts. But that's a very interesting question. I might have to gather. But that's when it's done there in the local community. That basic element of the cacao paste, comes out from that grounding, with the stone moving to the left and to the right, up and front, and you get that delicious aroma from the cacao beans without having had any other intervention. And even when you do it in the machines in the factories, and you emulate the process that is done in the communities with the stones, it still is the most basic element, after the bean.
Right.
And I like that in I'm not a chocolatier, renowned chocolatier. I love do my things here, especially my hot chocolates. I love them. And sometimes I do things me myself, but so I wouldn't be even trying to suggest that that's the best way to do things, but it's what I love most.
Amazing. Is there anything else you wanted to mention
about those 2 products? No, but in terms of
generally, yeah.
Generally, I would like to say that through those 2 decades, Pacari has shown with actions that another way of doing chocolate is possible.
Right.
That another way of doing businesses is possible.
Right.
And not just because we have to tick boxes. It's because what we have now is not working. not working for people, not working for the planet.
Right.
And when we hear about these big corporations not doing enough and finding all sort of excuses, you can say that's not good enough. There is another way. When we put people and planet before profit, we can do things differently. And that has today made Pacari be ranked, for example, with the Ethical Consumer magazine at the top of the most ethical chocolate. In the previous rank, they were second 2 years, and then they top up the mark. And they're going to continue doing. And hopefully in the next ranking, other companies are going to be also in the top of the mark. The more we have, the better. But not just because we want to tick boxes. It's because this planet is the only home we have. And if we don't look after it and don't look after the people who are there, we are screwing very much our future, and not only our, but the ones from the other generation. And that is very egoistic. We are now in the position as consumer as well to make right decisions and to force changes in the industries, politically, etc. And I think Pacari, by showing that this is possible, has planted a seed that other companies in other industries doing the same and better. But this is what they wanted from day one, and step by step, they're achieving that. So the company has been for years certified as a B Corp. Now it's all a rush being trying to get that certification. It doesn't just buy fair trade ingredients. It's a fair trade enterprise certified by WFTO. In Ecuador, the workers take part of the profits of the company. Not only they're paying them better salaries, but making them part of the business.
Right.
They avoid any cacao coming from plantations who come from deforestation. They don't use palm oil. So they're trying to do everything possible, eliminating the plastic, etc., etc. So from different actions, we can, as business, try to be a business for good instead of business that damages our own home, which is our planet.
Amazing. So inspiring. Thank you so much. So interesting.
No, thank you very much for the time and for all your questions. Very interesting. And I love working with you guys.
Yeah, speak to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.
Thank you for listening. You can check out the products we've been talking about by visiting Raw Living, rawliving.co.uk. And if you haven't got an account already, then do sign up. You get £5 off your first order. And also, please do like, subscribe and share this podcast. It really does help.